trying to we could do something.
Oh, right.
Looks like they have it covered with
Yeah.
covered to pull down.
Yeah, or it fell down.
Not likely.
Yeah, it's probably fine.
It's probably fine. We've got all these.
It's probably fine.
I was surprised that these clay tiles are still, yeah, they still manufacture the same tiles. Anyway, you're capping the campaign at work.
Yeah, my goodness.
Then, we're coming out to people who turned down the 3 months severance.
Mean religious people.
Orthodox is not
In a loving spirit. Took the daughters away from the mother because she was too liberal. I never jumped on stage. I just,
Would you want to share?
I'll tell you what I have.
I think one of the messages I am not expecting a crowd because it's terrible weather.
Yes.
A lot of people are away. A lot of people are sick.
And it's global warming, which depresses me sometimes.
That's right.
I thought that. I thought, oh boy. And yeah, I think as long as they end up giving us hope or that kind of thing, that our grandchildren are not dying when the planet explodes.
I just think it's
I said that to my
Sorry.
Don did offer to bring up his laptop if that would be easier to read from that. And do you want to do Time for All Ages from the pulpit, or do you want a mic to like sit in front? There's not too many kids here.
Hello.
So for the time for all ages, you're just gonna do it from here?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll probably just do it from here. Yeah, unless like we get an influx of kids within the next 2 minutes. Okay.
You need a script. Is that
Well, she can read it from her phone. It's just
Yeah.
a paper one is nice to have, but she can.
Yeah, I can't help you with that, but I do, but if you need I have a computer also.
I'm fine with just reading it from my phone.
Okay. Oh my gosh, Sleepy Bunny hoodie is adorable. I do not know what that is.
It is a knitting script. It's the best knitting.
Sure, you go ahead. Gather.
Good morning, UCNH. Oh, that was not very powerful. So, as I've said before, I'm a preschool teacher. When Miss Erin says good morning, you can either say good morning or hello or hi, or if you don't want to talk, you can just wave. So, good morning, UCNH. Good morning. That was so much better. Thank you so much. My name is Erin Terizzi, and I am the lay leader today. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of the North Hills. Whether you have been with this church for a decade or more, or this is your first time visiting, we welcome you. Whatever the faith and traditions of your past, we welcome you. Whatever your theological stance, we welcome you. Whoever you are and whomever you love, we welcome you. Wherever you come from and whatever your journey has been, we welcome you. We now take a moment to recognize that the land that we stand on was taken from the local indigenous people. Inspired by their culture, may we strive to become better stewards of the earth. Newcomers and guests are always welcome to participate in any of our church activities. If you would like more information about Unitarian Universalism, please talk to our Director of Lifespan Faith Development, Dana Poss, or one of our board members, like me. You can find the contact information for Dana or the members of our board on our website. As our service is currently led by members of this congregation or outside guest speakers, every week will be different. If you are visiting our church for the first time, please come back again and experience the variety of services being offered. Please also join us for coffee hour following the service. Again, welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of the North Hills. It is good to be together, both in person and virtually. Thank you, Hal. This morning's call to worship is by Reverend Leslie Takahashi. We gather as many drops, each winding our own path down life's surfaces and ruts. Here we pull together in a single body, flowing together for a time. Together, we are a stream, at times even a river. For our shared force, we can travel towards oceans of meaning and seas of connection. Our chalice lighting words are by Michael Tino. The flaming chalice was first used by the Unitarian Service Committee as a symbol of life-saving refuge for the people fleeing persecution in Europe. As we light this chalice, we invoke the love that called people to put their lives at risk to save others. May we be vessels of life-saving welcome. Our opening hymn is number 195 in the gray hymnal, Let Us Wander Where We Will. The words will also be on the screen. Since this is a new hymn for many of us, Hal, would you play it through once first? Thank you. Today's Time for All Ages is called Higgins, A Drop of Water with a Dream by Christopher Boos. Once upon a time, there was a drop of water named Higgins. Higgins was no ordinary drop of water. He was a drop of water with a dream. Higgins lived in a valley where it had not rained in a very long time, so all the lovely green grass was turning brown, and all the beautiful flowers were wilting, and all the trees were starting to droop. Higgins had a dream that one day the valley would be a beautiful place again. But what could he do? After all, he was only one drop of water. One day, Higgins decided to travel and tell others about his dream. Excuse me. All the other drops listened very politely, but no one believed that his dream would come true. Higgins, they said, get your head out of the clouds. You can't spend your whole life dreaming. Higgins decided that he had to do something to make his dream come true. So one day he began to think and think and think. One day he had an idea as he was walking by a rusty old bucket. If enough drops of water got together in this bucket, Higgins thought, there would be enough water to sprinkle on a few flowers to help them grow and become beautiful again. Eagerly, Higgins told everyone about his great idea, but everyone else thought he was being foolish. That Higgins is nothing but a dreamer, they said. Higgins decided he had to convince others that he was right. So he said to them, I don't know about you, but I'm getting into that bucket. I hope some of you will join me. Then there might be at least enough water to help a few flowers grow beautiful again. So Higgins ran as hard as he could and hopped way up in the air and landed with a kerplump in the bottom of the bucket. And there he sat, just one drop in the bucket. For a very long time, Higgins felt lonely. It seemed like no one else was going to join him. But after a while, some of the other drops could see that the grass was dying, and the flowers were wilty, and the trees were drooping. They all agreed that something needed to be done. Suddenly, one drop shouted, I'm going into the bucket with Higgins! And they leaped through the air and landed with a kerplump in the bucket. Then two other drops yelled, wait for us, as they hopped through the air and landed in the bucket. Then 10 drops jumped through the air and landed in the bucket. Then 30, then 50, then hundreds of drops came from all around just to hop in the bucket. Soon the bucket was completely full of water, but there were still more drops that wanted to join. So they found other buckets and hopped in. Before long, there were 2 buckets of water, then 3, then 4, then 10, then hundreds, and then thousands of buckets of water. Along came a powerful breeze that blew over the buckets, and all the water flowed together to make a mighty stream. Everywhere the water flowed, the grass turned green once again, and the flowers bloomed, and the trees stood tall and straight once more. All of this happened because Higgins had a dream, and his dream came true because he knew that although he was just one drop in the bucket, with enough drops in the bucket, they could make a powerful bucket. And when there are enough buckets with the wind behind them, then justice will flow down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream.
Good morning. I'm Chris Hill with the Lay Pastoral Care Team. During our service, we create this sacred time for sharing in our community. It's a time to share significant life passages with the congregation so you can be held in loving care. I'll be reading the joys and sorrows this morning, and Ruth Horwitz will be placing a stone representing each joy or sorrow in the sand. The sand represents our congregation supporting our sorrows and lifting up our joys. Today we have a joy from Connie Hester for the Green Sanctuary team. It's official. We are an accredited Green Sanctuary congregation. Special thanks to Susie Wood and Matt Mihalik for leading us to success, and thanks to everyone who turned ideas into action to make it happen. To Connie and the Green Sanctuary team, we say, we're sharing in your joy. We now place one more stone in the sand for all the joys and sorrows that exist in our hearts but remain unspoken today. We especially think of the church community moving through this transition period to our future. Please know that the Lay Pastoral Care Team is here for you to listen and support you. You can always reach us collectively via the Breeze form, our lpct@uucnh.org email, or individually as you choose. From far and near, please say with me our caring words. Let us hold in our circle of caring each person here. Let us hold in our hearts those who are unable to be with us today. Let us hold in our memories those who have moved on. Let us find comfort in knowing that we are not alone.
As we enter a moment of quiet reflection or meditation, let us consider these words by Reverend William F. Schultz, titled, Simply Cherish the Earth. Regardless of our differences, there are a host of affirmations that we embrace as a basis for our faith. Whatever we think the holy may be, creation itself is holy. We make no distinctions between the natural and supernatural, the secular and the sacred. We simply cherish the earth and its creatures and the stars and all of their glory. Life's gifts are not available to everyone. Life's gifts are available to everyone, not just the chosen or the saved. Only human artifice or blind ill fortune can separate us from a source of our blessings. That which is divine, precious, or profound is made evident not only in the miraculous or otherworldly, but in the simple and the everyday. We look not to the heavens or for an afterlife for our meaning, but to the exuberance of life's unfolding. Human beings themselves are responsible for the planet and its future. Social and environmental justice is a religious obligation. The future is never fated. Every one of us is held in creation's hand. We share its burdens and its radiance. Hence, strangers need not be enemies. The earth is our cherished home, and its inhabitants are companions. Though death confronts us, we live all the more, perhaps because we lose it. An honorable and impassioned life may not deny death its due, but it can surely deny it of its victory. Financial contributions to this congregation come from sacrifice and hard work. We are so grateful for this and commit together to ensure that the funds we gather collectively do a greater good for ourselves and the world than they would have done on our own. If you are here with us today, you can put your offerings in the baskets being passed out by the ushers. If you are joining us virtually, you can make your offering by mailing us a check to the church or by going to the UUCNH website, finding the link in the upper right-hand corner that says Donate, and making a contribution equivalent to what you would have been putting in the plate or more. The morning offering will now be given and gratefully received. Please join me in saying the dedication of the offering. The words will be on the screen. May these gifts and the work of our hands and hearts give power to all we stand for as a community of faith. Please join in a responsive reading by the Reverend Erica Barron, titled Litany for Those Lost to Climate Change. The words will be on the screen, and I'll read the parts labeled as leader. We take the time to acknowledge all those already lost as the world feels the effects of global warming and climate change. Thousands of people, as well as animals and plants, die every year from the effects of global climate change. As we acknowledge these lost, we shall respond, we remember you. To all those people lost to extreme heat waves, we remember you. To all those people lost to floods, hurricanes, mudslides, and other disasters caused by changing weather patterns. To all those people lost to hunger as the crop patterns change. To all those people lost to drought as the weather patterns change. To all those people lost to disease as the environment shifts. To all those animals, siblings of flesh and blood, breath and bone, whose lives have been lost as global climates change. To all the plant spirit siblings of the green world, whose lives have been lost to global climate changes. To all those species lost forever as global climate changes. We remember you, and we will commit ourselves to restoring the balance. So may it be.
Good morning. The Unitarian Universalist Association, office at the United Nations, encourages congregations to devote one Sunday each year to discuss the work of the UUA office, the work of the UN itself, and how we, as UUs, both support the UN and hold it accountable to its ideals. October 24th is officially United Nations Day, and though this service was postponed until today for scheduling reasons, our beloved Zadniks, Andy and Allison, could not be here today to present this material due to traveling. And as a former junior United Nations organization participant in Juneau in middle school, I am honored and inspired to read their message today. It's important to use this platform for sharing issues of global importance that affect our values. It's also worth noting that this year's UN Climate Change Conference recently ended in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt. This morning's topic is on climate force displacement, which occurs when humans have no choice but to leave their land due to the long-lasting effects of climate change. The scale of this change varies and includes natural disasters, coastal flooding, drought, crop failure, or wildfires. For certain small islands and coastal areas in particular, the rising sea levels can result in fully unlivable land, with entire populations having to leave their countries behind. For so many communities, the threat of climate change means rethinking how and where they can live. Climate change is not currently recognized by the United Nations as a cause for someone to qualify as a refugee. So legal protections are needed on an international level to affirm the rights of those millions that move. Even if the refugees do find a home in another country, there are oftentimes increased racist and xenophobic policies that make it difficult to thrive. While people are forced to move because of climate change, what happens to them after, and whether or not they will find a safe environment to live in, may depend on long-lasting effects from colonialism and the current impacts of systemic racism. One important outcome from last year's 26th UN Climate Change Conference in Glasgow, Scotland, was an agreement to strengthen a network known as the Santiago Network that connects vulnerable countries with providers of technical assistance, knowledge, and resources to address climate risks. There was also the launch of a new Glasgow dialogue to discuss arrangements for the funding of activities to avert, minimize, and address the loss and damages associated with the adverse effects of climate change. An outcome considered historic from this year's climate change conference was an agreement that wealthier countries will help developing countries pay for the consequences of climate change. While there are many questions and issues left to work out, like which countries will pay and which countries will be eligible for help, the establishment of so-called loss and damage fund represents a significant shift for U.S. leaders who have long feared such payments could make this nation liable for huge sums given our historical contribution to emissions. UUs have been taking action to protect the Earth for decades. Now is the time to prepare to protect ourselves and the people of our world community from climate-forced displacement. We can start by asking ourselves, what would I do if my home is prone to flooding or mudslides? What would I lose? Who in my community might need the extra help or to ensure they are safe? And maybe some other questions. In light of the global challenge of forced displacement caused by the climate crisis, several Unitarian Universalist organizations, including the UU Ministry for the Earth and UUs for a Just Economic Community, have issued a statement of solidarity and commitment. It reads, "Recognizing the interdependence of life on Earth and the accountable pursuit of justice, equity and compassion is central to creating a thriving 21st century. Unitarian Universalism is a faith tradition anchored in religious pluralism, the rhythms of nature, and the inherent worth and dignity of each person. The ongoing climate crisis challenges all of our core values as a faith tradition. As organizations currently or historically affiliated with Unitarian Universalism, we feel compelled to speak and act in solidarity with frontline communities facing forced climate displacement. In keeping with those principles of repair and justice, we urge governments, world leaders, corporate actors, and congregations to respond to the global challenge of climate-forced displacement by centering the human rights of affected communities. As the climate crisis escalates, the needs of those that are suffering the worst effects of climate change, a crisis chiefly caused by carbon emissions from wealthier industrialized nations like the United States, have gained wider acknowledgement. The climate crisis is not a matter for future generations to address. It is already upon us. In early March 2022, the world's leading climate scientists issued their starkest warning yet about the failure of global leaders to stem carbon emissions. Humanity is on pace to exceed the 1.5 degrees of warming that scientists estimate is the limit the Earth can sustain without risking an unstoppable chain reaction of climate harms. Due to this collective policy failure, communities around the globe and in the U.S. are already facing the effects of climate destruction. Black, Indigenous, people of color, frontline, and other oppressed and marginalized communities who have done the least to contribute to the climate crisis historically are facing the worst of its effects. Many of these communities have been displaced from their homes, and millions more will follow in the decades ahead. Communities across the U.S. and as in other countries are already experiencing these pressures and the reality that parts of the U.S. will become uninhabitable is increasingly hard to ignore. This involuntary climate exile is both a global and a domestic human rights violation on a massive scale. Not only does it deprive millions of people of their rightful homes, it also forces them to seek resettlement in a global community that has done little to ensure the safe and dignified reception of people seeking asylum, particularly migrants of color. In the U.S., people are forced to abandon their traditional homes and communities or look to build infrastructure mitigation strategies that outstrip the resources and the financing capacities of their households and local governments. Even as we acknowledge the climate displacement is a present reality, not a hypothetical risk, we also reject the fatalism and the defeatism that would deny the possibility of further collective action to forestall or to address it. And to this end, we shall share the power of our voices and influence with those who have less recourse to engage the decision makers, be they elected, appointed or corporate actors. We pledge to coordinate our advocacy in order to persuade the international and the domestic community to prevent further climate displacement by mitigating the effects of climate change and ensuring a just transition to clean and renewable energy sources, to ensure in the event of displacement that cannot be forestalled, that communities are able to relocate safely with dignity and in a self-determined way that respects their integrity and their identity, to provide communities with the resources they need to adapt in place to the effects of climate change and to compensate for the loss and damages they have already incurred as a result of anthropogenic warming, and to redress the past failures and address root harms and causes as part of our accountable behavior to those suffering harm. Climate displacement is already occurring around the world. Our leaders have a choice as to the pace at which it unfolds and the treatment of the people who endure it. We urge them to act now, before even more people are deprived of their homes. So, what can we do? What do we do? Here are some ways that we can take action for climate justice and climate forced displacement. As a congregation, we can sign on with the UU Service Committee on a petition to tell the President Biden to support climate justice at the UN. We can join with the Pacific Island Students Fighting Climate Change on a call to leaders of the world to endorse the campaign to seek an advisory opinion from the International Court of Justice on climate change. And we can tell our senators and our representatives that we demand increased equity and more nature-based solutions in upcoming Water Resources Development Acts, which authorize the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to carry out activities concerning the development projects, water supply, wastewater infrastructure, flood control, navigation, hydropower, or ecosystem restoration, such as shoreline restoration. And as an additional note, one action that has already been underway for this church is to become a green sanctuary. As the lay pastoral care team recently mentioned, our application update for the Green Sanctuary accreditation was well received. Highlights of the first review include: you have internalized the Green Sanctuary spirit, you have gotten involved in real advocacy work, and you have branched out into working on true environmental justice issues, clean air and clean water for marginalized communities. So we have received full accreditation and will be proudly displaying this logo soon. Logo? No logo? No, we didn't get the logo? Well, we can thank the Green Sanctuary team again. Hopefully we'll see the Green Sanctuary logo soon. Please join me now in affirming our mission statement. By building a loving religious community that nourishes the spirit, celebrates life, and cherishes the connectedness of all things, we will transform ourselves and our world. Our closing hymn is number 318, We Would Be One, and the words will also be on the screens.
I want to thank everybody for welcoming me here. I've first time here. I drove 2 hours to come here, and I have a heavy heart right now. I'm sitting here, and I know you guys. We just got off a Thanksgiving break. Everybody had a great Thanksgiving with family and friends, right? I'm sure everybody ate really good. So I'm sitting here, and it comes upon me to tell you that. So, everybody, you had a wonderful dinner, okay, with friends and family. Did you thank the food, or did you thank the person that made the food? Well, what does that have to do with what I'm talking about? You're focused on the creation and not the creator. I'm just saying that. I don't want anybody to get upset with me. you know, everybody from religious backgrounds and stuff. And I just want to say that I'm here to tell you that the only thing that separates you from God is sin. And I'm a sinner. I know you guys won't talk about sin. I didn't hear anything about sinning.
Thank you. We'll cover more of that later.
So as soon as I do that,
Please leave. You are not.
well, I just want to tell you guys that,
Thank you.
that Jesus Christ
Thank
is the way,
you.
the truth, and the life.
Thank you.
That every knee will bow,
Thank
tongue
you.
will confess. God
Thank
bless
you.
guys.
Thank you. I'm sorry about that. Our closing hymn will be number 318, We Would Be One, and the words will be on the screen. We would be one. V. Emil Gundermanson. And now we have faith in life to do wise planting, that generations to come may reap more abundantly than we. We can be bold in bringing to fruition the golden dreams of human kinship and justice. This we asked, that the fields of promise become fields of reality. So may it be. Go in peace.
I'm going to play Zambra instead of Oriental by Granados. We're going to do the same. Haven't played this before.
waiting for a moment that he could give his sermon.
Yes.